Okay, what is that abomination? I have no idea what I'm looking at. Is that the Abydos clan decal? Alright, anyways, spawning right here in the bottom right-hand corner in game number 1 of today's Best-of-3 series, playing with the blue Zerg drones, and having a very cursed clan decal. We're looking inside of the main base of DRG. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing right here, okay, with a much more conventional clan decal. That's Macherino right there, playing with the blue Protoss pieces from the United States. We're looking inside of the main of Astrea. Alrighty, Astrea versus DRG. This particular series was played during a Korean StarCraft league. Now, of course, you can sign up for all over the world. Although, there's a chance that... I don't actually know where Astrea currently is at. I know he does spend quite a bit of time, though, over in Korea. So maybe while these games were being played, they were actually relatively close to one another. Now, I heard that this series is interesting because, from what I understand, DRG refuses, basically... I mean, he might make a couple, but from what I understand, he basically refuses to make, well, StarCraft 2 units. Apparently, he focuses primarily on units that would have been available, well, in StarCraft Brood War. So we're gonna have to keep an eye out on exactly what the man decides to go for. Especially in this matchup, though, a lot of the unit compositions that Zerg players focus on, I mean, it's gonna be Road Ravager based, or it's gonna be Baneling based, and all of those units are StarCraft 2. So I don't know. We'll have to see exactly. How does Astrea... Okay, I'm curious to see as well how Astrea deals with it. Because if it's going to be like... I don't know, like a Hydra Zergling-based army composition, there are plenty of options that Protoss has at their disposal. Most notably High Templar, right? I feel like those are going to be pretty good. I mean, they're pretty good as well in Brood War, for what it's worth. But we'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what ends up going down here. So, it's going to be a fast expand right here for Astrea. Cybernetics Core will be finishing up momentarily. I am fully expecting that this is going to be a Stargate opener because that is the most popular style to play, and, well, I've talked about this in previous videos as well at length. It is just simply the best all around. Now, there's a chance he starts up at least the Warp Gate upgrade. Yeah, there we go. And then he still, well, cancels... Yeah, there you go. He cancels it and goes for the Stargate. Okay, and then we'll be restarting it. Crossing his fingers here, hoping that DRG is going to take the bait, but Zerg players are certainly... There you go. They're certainly going to recheck the Cybernetics Core. You see the Overlord flying away. You realize that indeed the upgrade was cancelled. And that can really only mean that it's going to be a Stargate opener, because the Twilight Council, the Robo Facility, and the Stargate are really the only, well, 3 options that you have. The Stargate is 150 gas, the others are 100. Of course, this particular upgrade is 50 gas. There you go. Math in a YouTube video on the early Saturday morning. At the very least, that's when I'm recording this. Gonna be waking up the whole neighborhood, man, if this game gets too exciting. Alright, I'm assuming this is gonna be Oracle. There you go. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 3 Oracles. I think 3 Oracles is the way to go. I mean, I honestly think that more Oracles is even better, but most of the time it seems that the high-level Protoss... Astrea! What in the... Okay, I'm gonna have to go back. That was straight up toxic. So wait, this Adept goes out of her way... Just... Okay, well now I'm cheering for DRG. I'm sorry. Why? Doesn't even count as a kill, but... Why does this one get to live? I'm not saying you should... But why does this one get to live, but not the other on the other side of the map? A little bit mean right there from Astrea, that's for sure. Anyways, Oracle number 1 is out. Oracle number 2 starts up. Are we gonna leave this Oracle over here for a little bit while we see the links? Yeah, we really want to be grabbing... Ooh, lovely little bit of movement there. That's cute. So, if you Mineral Walk a probe, it can, well, go through other units, right? So, the Adept was right over there in the perfect spot for the probe to find a little nuke where it can hide, so it didn't get destroyed right there by the links. Small little move, but definitely worth noting. There's a lot of Zerglings now on the other side of the map, so honestly, Astrea doesn't really need to get aggressive. Yeah. When you see your opponent has made this many links, you know that they've already, well, done some economical damage themselves. So if you don't really, yeah, need to move the Oracle across, I think that's going to be A-okay right here for our Protoss. He'll probably fly them here in a little bit. There we go. Shield battery coming up. Nexus here is going to finish in about a minute or so, a little bit less than that. We've got a Twilight Council on the back of this together with a Forge. All right. Zerg in the meantime has of course taken that 3rd base over here too. Now he's gonna have to start facing off against these Oracles. I like the worker kills, but I think he took a little too much damage, especially on this one right over here. I would love to see the other Oracle move individually, right? So that's one of the things we've been seeing lately, where this Oracle, for example, could go into the main base right now, or maybe sneak into the natural, something along those lines. In theory, obviously, Zerg players can still defend that perfectly, but that seems to be where a lot of the Zergs at this level of play are taking quite a bit of damage. Instead, I think we should also be shuffling this one back home, right? If we're gonna harass with only 2, we should probably use the low HP one for base defense against units that can't shoot up, and then use this fresh one over here with more energy, as well as more hit points to harass. Anyhow, it's gonna be that blink upgrade here. I'm fully expecting the +1 ground weapons here as well to fire up very soon. And in the meantime, on the other side, that's not a Brute War unit! DRG, cancel that right away! Okay, in the meantime, on the other side of the map, we do have a +1 melee researching here. Nothing all too crazy as the lair has started up as well. There's a chance he's only really making the Roach Warren here just in case he needs them. Because as a Zerg, you don't really know. This could be like Glaive the Depths. This could be, I don't know, Dark. There's a bunch of different options available right now for the Protoss player. And while you can technically live by making pure Zergling Queen, you're gonna have to make a whole lot of it. And oftentimes, if it is gonna be an aggressive push from the Protoss, you're gonna be a little too late and you just don't have the larva. Alright, well, here comes the harassment. This is where that +1 melee upgrade really is helpful. Now, of course, it's not done yet. As a matter of fact, DRG hit a bit of a supply block. A few adepts here as well at the top section of the map are ready to... Oh my god. That clan decal. Ready to shade in and probably create a bit of a distraction, but excellent crew spread here from DRG. At the very least, he's gonna get the heads up that these units are moving towards his mineral line. Still though, this is gonna hurt a little bit. Okay, quite a bit actually. 5, 6. This is counting with Loco. Alright, anyways, eventually the adepts here will be cleaned up, but that was actually pretty painful. 12 workers in total. Stasis Ward apparently also caught a bunch of those Zerglings. Now, I don't think that's really all too big of a deal, but this is starting to really, yeah, this is really starting to hurt. So wait, how many Yeah, we made 4 Oracles. Nice. I like seeing 4 Oracles, actually. I think 4 Oracles is real good. There it is. That's the low HP one from earlier. I was wondering if maybe it went down, but... Stasis Ward's just so powerful, man. And when the opponent doesn't have anti-air, I mean, these Oracles are just gonna get more and more value. He's seen the Roach Warren of the opponent, too. Now, it's important to note that he hasn't made any units other than, I guess, Queens. There are Queens in StarCraft 1 as well, but... yeah, they can fly, okay? Brenda used to... Before the Brute War, Brenda used to be able to fly. I don't know. I don't believe her either, man. It's just one of those tales that she tells. Alright, anyways, this is gonna hurt, though. That Nexus is definitely not gonna stay alive. Okay. Zealots don't have charge yet, but Psionic Storm is coming. And Psystorm here is gonna be excellent. There's the Lurker Den as well coming up. We've got ourselves a Hive. Now, the Lurker Den, of course, used to be, or the Hydra Den at the very least, you could make quite a bit earlier and into the game. There have actually been some talks lately, and I kind of like the idea of that. There have been some talks lately about making the Hydralisk Den in StarCraft 2 a hatchery requirement, but only allow the upgrades for the hatchery to be available at Laretech. And then maybe like nerf the Queen a little bit. I mean, I think it would be kind of cool. I think there would be some potential there. Anyways, I've seen some people talking about that lately, and I do think it would be kind of neat to give a try, but I'm not sure if we're ever going to see that. Either way, got the Zerglings harassing over here. I mean, +2 melee is going to finish up pretty soon. Where's the Stormy Boys? There's a lot of Stormy Boys available, but we're not really doing a whole lot of storming. Okay, there's a lat right over here. I guess it didn't have enough energy. Yeah. Anyways, how many workers actually fell there? Yeah, only 2 probes. So I guess we still just traded a bunch of Zealots right here for a bunch of Zerglings. Really not the end of the world at all. My main concern, though, is going to be in those Lurkers, because this Hive is nice and quick. And with the Hive Tech upgrades, there we go. Seismic Spines is coming up. That's going to be the ranged upgrade for the Lurkers. And once that upgrade finishes, suddenly this Zerg army is going to get way more powerful. In general, Lurkers not particularly useful before they get their late game upgrades, but DRG is getting those nice and early. I'm a little surprised with the passivity right here of Astrea, to be honest. Like, he's been harassing like a champ, and then he took a 4th base and was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and do a whole lot of nothing. There are several timing moments. Storm? There you go. Can't resist that one, can you? Woohoo! Alright. I didn't think he was gonna be able to get that many kills, to be honest. But anyways, there are several moments where you can get on the other side of the map before Lurkers are done. Unless he doesn't realize? No, he doesn't actually see the timing right there. I mean, he saw the infestation pit, so maybe he should know here that this is going to be that... well, first off, it's the Diva announcer, is what you heard right there. That's apparently what Astrea plays with. The really squeaky Diva voice. Anyways, there was definitely a moment for him to go across the map and hit the opponent in the face before those bad boys are out. But now it's a little too late. Bailing Nest. Also, researching here on the right side of the map, or, well, building here on the right side of the map. A little bit of Zerg research, I guess. The queens have to do a little bit of R&D to figure it out. That's where the 50 gas go. Alright. The 4 oracles flying around. We're gonna be sending them back home, because suddenly, yeah, and this is where I'm a little bit surprised here with the passivity of Astrea. Suddenly, a whole lot of lurkers show up. This is the first time that he realizes what he's playing against. Oh no, not the High Templar, not the High Templar. I mean, that's an expensive set of units to lose as well for the Zerg. But he just sniped 4 High Templar. And those High Templar are really the only proper answer that he's got against... Well, actually, you know what? The 4 oracles are still pretty nice. Alright, you know what? Look at this. Another point for the 4 oracle hit squad. You know what would have been better than 4 oracles? 5. I don't know what the upper limit is, man. But most of the Protoss players, they stick around on 2, maybe 3 or so oracles. I like to see more. The only problem, I guess, is that at some point Zerg's like, okay, you know what? I'm actually gonna make some anti-air. Hydras in general, not really used very frequently as an actual anti-air unit. We did, by the way, have the Fleet Beacon as well. There it is, Fleet Beacon, together with the Flyer upgrades would be pretty sweet. Yeah, he's got +1 finishing right now. It's not gonna help out those oracles, but it would be nice when he goes into carriers. Okay, some good storms over here too. Still though, defensive lurkers here. Yeah, lurkers are a scary unit. In a way, they kind of shut down ground-based play altogether. One of the oracles ended up going down there. There is, of course, still, like, you can still have enough Archon Immortal and then maybe with some storms for support to just break through it, but I don't like this move all too much from Astrea. He certainly overstayed his welcome there, and he had a timing window of like 3 minutes that he didn't really make use of. So he's happy to play the late game, right? But he's not making any late game units. He's got a ton of money in the bank right now, not spending any of the resources that he could be investing right now into those Stargate units. Like, I would love to see some carrier production here. He could have had like 4 carriers out. He's got the money for it. He just hasn't been producing. Here comes DRG once again. Still, by the way, has he made any unit that is not a StarCraft 1 unit? So Hydra, Zergling, Lurker. I guess the Overseer. Yeah, fair enough. We have a little bit of harassment over here at the bottom. Okay, maybe this can get some work done, but he's, yeah, running straight into Queens and reinforcing Zerg units. Now the Nexus has fallen on the other side of the map. Finally, a carrier starts up. Yeah. This is not the cleanest game that I've seen Astrea play. Problem is, right? Sure, DRG has lost a lot of his army, but he still has 91 workers versus only 59 probes. So DRG is just going to be able to run away with this win if Astrea doesn't get something done very quickly. Okay. Those lurkers here, yeah, we've seen a lot of dead lurkers. You can see that the trades haven't been horrendous here for the Zerg. Mostly because of that overextension on the other side of the map, though. I feel like most of those Immortals and Archons didn't really need to go down. The Zerglings diving Templar as well. Not quite ideal. Okay. So we've only got, yeah, we just have units. No Banelings, no Roaches, none of that. That's so funny. I guess Oracles and Immortals are not Brood War units, right? So Protoss is not playing the Brood War game. Fair enough, fair enough. You know what would make this unit composition better? Banelings? Vipers? Infestors would not be bad. Brood Lords? Basically, StarCraft 2 units would make this better. Although, I guess there's Guardians in Brood War as well, right? So, they're kind of like, you know, the Brood Lord of StarCraft 1. I actually think Brood Lords are pretty cool. Yeah. Anyways, this is a Protoss player who's bleeding out, and indeed it's going to be DRG who obtains the victory in game number 1. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Gresven. You know what impresses me the most about Brood War, or StarCraft 1 in general? Is how good the unit design and the game design overall actually is. Like, that game is from 1998. It's before there was such a thing as an esports scene, right? So a bunch of guys at the Blizzard office came up with units that they thought would be fun in a real-time strategy. And I can imagine their main focus was not so much multiplayer. Their main focus was, well, the campaign, right? I would imagine so anyways. That's what everybody played back then. It's kind of cool because they really did nail it. Like, they really did create some very iconic units that also just make a lot of sense, but that are still different enough from what the other factions in the game have, right? Like, Terran, Zerg, Protoss, all of them are very different, but yeah, it's honestly impressive. Like, they've added a bunch of units, of course, with StarCraft 2, like, for example, I don't know, like the Adept, right? The Adept is a pretty good example of a unit that feels very StarCraft 2-y to me, because that movement, the way it shades around and stuff, was probably just not possible with all of the resources that they had in well, 1998, right? Because it's such a long time ago at this point. Sorry for the people watching this, they're like, Lowko, 1998, that's like 12 years ago. No, it's a little bit more than that, okay? We've come up on a little bit more. It's like 20 years then? No, sorry. Still more than that. Anyways, it's cool to, I don't know, I talk a lot about RTS games, of course, because I've played basically every single one of them, at least all of the popular ones, and none of them have as many iconic units as StarCraft Brood War. Like, if you think about it, if there ever were to be a StarCraft 3, the odds of the Zealot and the Hydralisk making it to that game compared to the Adept are very high, right? Like, nobody really thinks is the Disruptor or the Adept or, you know, maybe the Brute Lord. I think the Brute Lord is a pretty iconic unit. I think Brute Lords overall are cooler than Guardians just because, you know, they throw their own children. Like, go ahead, Brenda. George, fly across the screen, right? Like, that's pretty cool. They're a little bit cooler, in my opinion, anyways, than, I think Dragoons are pretty cool, too, but I do think that Stalkers probably, yeah, are a little bit more neat. I think probably they're more iconic. I should make a video about that, dude. Discussing my ideal units for StarCraft 3, where I go over the units from StarCraft 1, I go over the units from StarCraft 2, and I create my perfect, quote-unquote, StarCraft faction. One thing I don't quite like about StarCraft 2's design, I guess, and this is probably a problem because of all the, well, good pathing that we have in the game. One thing I don't quite like so much about StarCraft 2 is that we're super focused on spellcasters. So StarCraft 2's spellcasters are a little overtuned in my opinion. And it's not really, yeah, I would like them to be a supportive role, right? I would like to have them with a, can we hit that? I think we can, yeah. That's cute. All right, anyways, I would like to see like maybe 2 Infestors, two Vipers, like 4 High Templar maybe. Something like that. But yeah, we sometimes have a game of StarCraft 2 where there's literally, well, I'm looking at you, Dark, where you literally go for like 20 plus Infestors, and that's basically your entire army. Anyhow, let's talk about this particular game, because I can ramble onwards about this for hours, and I'm not going to do that right now, but if you think I should make a video about that, let me know down below. We've got ourselves an Oracle opener once again. Can we go for Moracles? No, we're just gonna go for a single Oracle. I don't like that. Moracles is better. Now he starts up a second one. He could have started that ages ago. And with ages, I mean like 5 seconds ago. This is not the cleanest Astrea I've ever seen, to be honest. We've seen a couple small mistakes here and there. Obviously, this is from a weekly online cup, the Korean StarCraft League. I obviously, yeah, don't exactly know how Astrea was feeling while he was playing this game, for obvious reasons. But this is, I've been very impressed by Astrea over the last few months, but this is not the most impressive series that I've casted of his. Twilight Council and Forge feel a little bit late as well. We've got the second Oracle right now, but it's out of sync, so now these Zerglings may very well be able to nibble their way through this Nexus. Oracle has to make the flight of shame back home. This does suck, though. Second Oracle also decides to come home. Why are you here? You should have been on the other side of the map harassing. Yeah, so only Zerglings have gone down for the Zerg at this point in the game, and that's exactly what DRG wants. Alright, Evo Chamber, a little bit earlier this time around. We'll probably go into the +1 melee here right now. Right now. Okay, we're not gonna go into the +1 melee. Ah, there we go. There we go. He was busy maneuvering his queens around, I think. That is, of course, not quite ideal. The thing about that upgrade, though, about the +1 melee, unless Protoss decides to go, so right now we do have that Blink Stalker follow-up, right? So having the upgrade done at a reasonable time is really critical. But in a lot of cases, it doesn't matter that much. Like, if you're not gonna go, like, it's not like one of those upgrades where you line it up with a certain timing attack, or at least that's not what we normally see. A lot of the Protoss upgrades here are lined up with a timing attack because they're the ones trying to harass. Now, speaking of harassment, we're finally getting some worker damage done here, but it's gonna come at the cost as well of, yeah, quite a few of those units. So 5 drones in total here so far. 3 adepts have gone down. Yeah. It's gonna be more difficult right now, right? Moving forward for those oracles to really get damage in. Usually they're gonna be accumulating energy at home at this point in time, and they're just gonna sit here waiting for the Zerg to attack, or maybe they're gonna come out and lay down a bunch of, you know, stasis wards over here to make sure that the Stalkers can actually harass. There's the Templar Archives once again. There's the Roach Warren once again, but notice here that DRG is not making any StarCraft 2 units. That's funny. He could be going into Aspire. I know DRG is a big fan of Mutalisks, and that's another unit that, well, was available in the Brood Wars. Back in my day, we used to be able to fly before the Brood Wars. Alright, Brenda. Let's get you back to your hatchery. Sure, Brenda. Nobody believes that. Alright, we've got ourselves the infestation pit. About halfway done. I think we're gonna go Hydra Den once again. There we go. Hydra Den into Hive, into Lurkers. Just running around with Zerglings. No Banelings, that's so funny. Like, one of the reasons, right? So I guess the only timing, well, not the only timing, but one of the main timings you get off of the Eva Chamber upgrade that early on is the +2 melee upgrade. And +2 melee allows you to one-shot probes with Banelings. So, usually, if we're gonna be seeing Zerg go for the +2 melee, like actually every single time you see Zerg players at this level go for the +2 melee upgrade, it is in sync with the roly-poly upgrade too, for the Banelings to be able to make it to the mineral line. But apparently that is not DRG's intention. He's just using it as an harassment tool while saving up gas for tech. So there's the Lurker Den coming up. Yeah, he's just not spending really any of his gas. He's making some Hydralisks, but I think the Hydras are very much so considered to be baby Lurkers, right? Hydras are none... Yeah, Zerg players don't really like the Hydra that much. They're considered to be strongly mediocre. The Hydra is very good, though, as a Lurker, right? So if you treat it as a baby Lurker, you can get the upgrades, I guess, but you can maybe add on some more later on if you need it. So again, this is an opportunity for Mr. Astrea to harass, but he doesn't realize what's going on. I don't think that his previous game was necessarily bad, though. So there's a whole lot of High Templar hanging out. My god, they don't have Storm yet. If those Zerglings would have jumped this, that may have honestly been GG right there, because there's not going to be anything to stop the Lurkers here. But anyways, there's the Lurker upgrades coming up. Yeah, he's just running around the map with about, I don't know, 100 Zerglings. 77 at this point. 40 of them have already gone down. Can he complete this series not making a single StarCraft 2 unit? There's actually a chance that he already did make a StarCraft 2 unit, and I just didn't really think of it. I guess the Overseer is a StarCraft 2 unit, right? Overlords are different too, because last time I checked, they're not detectors. That was kind of nutty. Anyways, Stasis Wards over here being annoying. Oracles in the main base, though, also being annoying. Problem is, 6 worker kills at this point in the game. Yeah, it doesn't hit as hard as, like, 6 worker kills at the 4-minute mark. Alright, 12 workers, though, still definitely quite painful. But yeah, you can see DRG that's immediately refiring them. He's really just trying to make Lurkers here. That's all we're really trying to do. Astrea out 86 workers. That's a lot. We need to make sure we get some pylons going here. 5 additional gateways as well. I don't know if I like this, though, all too much here for Astrea. Like, yeah, he's got a massive economy, but, like, as he is ready to go for an attack, DRG is finishing up his Lurkers. And these Lurkers have just wandered on over here. You can break it, don't get me wrong, but this is going to be expensive. Okay, there's the first storm going down. There's the revelation as well from the Oracle, so he can see what he's actually playing against. Storm, okay, trying to just soften up these units a little bit. This is a really strong timing, though, from DRG. I really like the way he techs up towards the Hive, and he attacks before this upgrade is done, so before the burrow upgrade. He just marches across the map when the range upgrade finishes, and then he just burrows them right over here. Is Protoss going to be able to break out of this? I mean, the Nexus is certainly going to go down. 15 probes have already fallen as well. What a cool attack right here from DRG. We don't normally see lurker timings. But that worked out really wonderfully there for the South Korean Zerg. Okay. Yeah, so about 80 drones. I don't know the exact timing of the infestation pit, but this is relatively easy, I think, to implement in your own games. Imagine a Baneling roll by over here. I don't know why he just wants to dump, that's the reason why. He just wants to dump his gas onto upgrades, technology, and then lurkers. Like, the only units that are really soaking up gas are these ones right over here. There's the +1 air weapons once more for Astrea. Double upgrades here as well to try and help out those Archons a little bit. I don't think there are, you know, yeah, there's no plural of Archons, but a plural of Archons. That's beautiful. It's gonna be the name of my memoir. Okay. This harassment is still annoying though, and that is a lot of lurkers. I always get a little bit nervous whenever Protoss players are fighting lurkers with a ground-based army. I get it, but I also think it's very risky, because, yeah, right now I think DRG is approaching this really cleverly. He's like, okay, you want to counter my 8 lurkers with a ground army? What if I make 20? Okay, well, the storms are real good. It's kind of like trying to counter Brute Lords with Stalkers. It's like, theoretically, yes, but what if Zerg just makes more? Well, the storms are very helpful, though. He's trying to get up towards the high ground. God, I don't like this move here from DRG very much. Maybe if we can harass the left side at the same time or something like that. He's just focusing all of his attention on just... He's treating them like they're siege tanks, man. Just leapfrogging forward. Okay, we are gonna push in this, but this is still very painful, of course. A lot of Protoss units are falling. So why are we going for the +1 air weapons upgrade when we don't actually make any Skytools units? We have 2 Stargates here, we have a fleet beacon. We've got the money for it too. Okay, Tempest. Fair enough. I think Tempests are fine. Problem with carriers, I guess, is that if your opponent has a group of Hydras and it's a small number of carriers, it can sort of work out. Maybe having like 3 or so Tempests and then into carrier production would be neat. But then we should really start up the +2 flyer upgrades too. And he's got the money for it, he's just not spending it. He's also, yeah, he's finally fired up the 2nd Stargate, but it's also a little late. I guess it wasn't on the control group? DRG, I don't know about this choke point, dude. Zealot run by in the meantime, down south. Trying to be annoying. Spine crawlers over here, and some of the Zerg will be running back. Now the Tempest shows up. This honestly should have been here a minute ago. But it wasn't. No! He's ruining it! Viper's coming up. Ay, 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 ay. Warping in the main base. Are we gonna move the prism? A little too late, didn't we? Yeah. I don't know, guys. I did some Max Packs casts recently, and I find myself fanboying over how amazing all of the movement is and how he seems to be a step ahead of his opponent. This is sort of the opposite. I don't mean any disrespect at all, but Astrea is playing catch-up here. And it's going to be difficult for him to do so if he keeps giving away units like that. Okay, well now we're just going to walk on over here, and... oh my god. You don't normally see large groups of lurkers, right? But since Astrea has decided, yo, I want to counter this army by making a ground army, DRG is like, great, perfect. I would love to make more lurkers, thank you very much. This base is super dead. Now the Tempests are showing up. And obviously, the reason why Vipers are coming here is to abduct them into the Hydralisks. Hydraling Lurker with a couple Vipers for support. I mean, I was talking about using Spellcasters earlier and how I like them as a supportive unit. This is how I like them. I don't really like the idea of a army of Vipers. Okay, we also have a Spire coming up. So if this is going to be full Skytools, DRG will have the option to go into Corruptors too, which I think is a really clever choice. Honestly, Astrea doesn't seem to want to go into Skytils, though. Yeah, he's going for the +2 upgrade. He did make 5 Tempest. I think we should start carrier production now. Since there's no Prism at this point on the other side of the map, Zerg doesn't really need to worry about, well, defending, right? So, yeah, there could be a Zealot run by like this, I suppose, but there's only a few angles where this can hit. He is going to find a base, though, that is currently mostly unprotected, other than a queen or two. This base, once again, in some problems, or in some trouble, rather. Okay, High Templar taking a beating here before casting Storm. We do get some feedbacks here, though. That's nice. Zealots, in the meantime, getting some work done, but they're not targeted onto the drones and not shift queued away either. So they're just going to suicide themselves onto the spine. Okay. This could be good. DRG is all over that as well. Cool. DRG is playing fast. Yeah. DRG is one of those infamous pro gamers who's considered to be at pro gamer retirement age. He's like 31. I think he's like 31 years old. He's basically a boomer, okay? He probably calls them Zerglings. Rather than Zerglings. It's a Zergling, Lester. Smaller tap a Zerg. That's probably how he... Okay, double Spire coming up over here. But, hey, people used to tell me when I first started playing StarCraft 2 that 25 or so... That's how old you can, well, be, at most, to be a StarCraft pro. I was like, really? That makes absolutely no sense. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Koreans go off to the military service at that point, and then when they come back, they're pretty terrible. At least for a while, and many of them, well, live a quote-unquote normal life from there. Okay, this is looking better, though, for Astrea. I like these trades he's been making over the last couple minutes. He's gone into Mass Tempest? I think it was Hearthstone. We saw him doing the same thing as well on this map. This was during like Home Story Cup or something? I'm not exactly sure. There was a tournament match that I casted where I really felt like he stuck around on Tempest for too long. I think the Tempest initially are really good though. When they first come out and Zerg is not ready, it creates a lot of breathing room, right? Like Zerg doesn't really breathing room. There you go, not breathing room. That's something else entirely. That'll be for another video. No, but he gets a lot of time here to build up a stronger army. And yeah, the Zerg is not really going to be able to get much done until they get the Vipers going. So there's like a minute or two where you get a bit of time to breathe. Or breed, whatever you like. Anyways, there's the additional upgrade coming up as well for the Stargate units. Where's the Tempests? Oh, you guys are so slow. Ay, ay, ay. Alright. For a Protoss capital ship that's supposed to take up half of the size of this map. Because they're supposed to be big. High Templar. Yeah, they don't really travel particularly fast. Good High Templar usage though here by Astrea. He's been feedbacking those Vipers for a while, and that now makes it difficult for DRG to go in. So what DRG wants to do is abduct those carriers, or, well, what I think should have been carriers, the Tempest, into his Hydras, but yep. The Vipers are doing a good job right now, zoning this Protoss army a little bit, but Astrea will certainly win in a straight-up battle. 1-1 upgrades coming up. And at this point, Astrea's economy is actually legit. Yeah, he's got a lot of gas income. I don't really like this unit composition of his that much, though. It's a bit awkward. It's a bit disjointed. Like, the Immortals are pretty good here, but, like, with this number of Immortals, they'll just get destroyed by the Lurkers. Yeah, I genuinely think a Mama ship would be nice. Carriers would be nice. Disruptors would be real good as well. I guess we've gone into High Templar instead. Okay, he's trying to get underneath. Okay, we're gonna get some, these Tempests have a lot of range. We really don't need them to be that far forward. Abductions, though, do land. DRG is just reinforcing this faster than the opponent can keep up. Even though all of these traits are pretty good for the Protoss, he's got a lot more income here. He's got a bunch of money in the bank, too. He needs to be careful, though, because these traits really are inefficient. As far as resources go, right? If he can kill this base, then suddenly I think this is all justified. He starts up 3 additional Tempest. Really? That honestly surprises me a little bit. Main concern here, right, is that there's always a moment where Zerg can just suddenly whip out 20 Corruptors. If you don't have like an Archon group or a bunch of carriers out, and preferably both, the Tempest can just get destroyed. And at that point, Zerg can morph the lurkers, or sorry, morph the corruptors into brute lords, and it's gonna be hard to get much done. Now, eventually, by the way, this Nexus did fall. We have a little bit of harassment here up north as well. Okay, we're gonna need one more storm. There we go. We don't have detection, but eventually it will die. Okay. Observer and Prism chilling together. Yeah, he now knows that he's been spotted. So other than the Vipers, careful. Other than the Vipers, DRG has not made any unit that isn't Brute War. That's so funny. He wanted to complete his Brute War only challenge, but he was forced in. No, I don't like this spot at all, Astrea. Come on. It's literally within vision range of that tumor. You know that that was like a 2010 warpin right there. In 2010, man, players did not play the strongest StarCraft that we've ever seen. Let's just leave it at that. He literally warped in. He didn't know where the Zerg army was. He knew that it wasn't attacking him, so it must be somewhere nearby. Okay. Very ambitious little warpin. We're gonna once again head on over to the high ground. Some nice abductions here, though. Yoink, yoink, yoink. Tempest have quite a bit of HP, and in these battles, they suddenly seem pretty quick. The storms are connecting left, right, and center, but nice dodging as well by DRG, trying to make sure he doesn't take that much damage. 20 additional probes have gone down. How many have fallen in total? Yeah, 74. That's actually a lot. Another observer ends up getting sniped. Okay, base over here on the left side has been remade, but that one looks incredibly vulnerable. Zerglings with +3 and adrenal glands will tear that base apart in a second. Well, currently they're stormed though. And they're stasis. Okay, more High Templar being targeted down. DRG is such a swarmy player. This reminds me a little bit of Su. I haven't seen too many of Su's games lately. This is what Su used to play like, right? Just relentless aggression. Just, you know, this is what the StarCraft developers thought of when they came up with the Zerg faction. They thought of this, just relentless aggression, non-stop foot on the gas, or foot on the gas. For some reason, I was thinking that's the brake. No, don't confuse the gas pedal and the brake pedal, guys. That's a dangerous thing. No, but he just non-stop aggression and just lings and hydras and stuff everywhere. Now we have a recall over here towards the left side of the map, but this is as far away as possible as this fight over here on the right. So Astrea is gonna fly on over there, but it's gonna take him about 30 seconds. There would have been a chance that DRG could have actually killed that base, but he decided to back off, wait for some of his reinforcements to show up. Pretty passive though, overall here by Astrea, right? Like he played a pretty active early game. Getting like a dozen or so worker kills, especially in game 1. But then after that, he's like, okay, the early game is done, baby. I'm trying to, yeah, just make my ultimate army. That's my goal now. And turns out his ultimate army was Archon Immortal Storm. And if Zerg has enough lurkers, you have to transition towards something else. And it's been an uphill battle ever since. Another base kill right over here. Zerg once again moving forward. Brilliant play here, of course, by DRG, right? This is not the way we see Serral play, or Dark, or any of the other top-level Zergs. This is very much so DRG's own approach. And it looks like an absolute bloodbath. Like, I would not want to be a Hydralisk or a Zergling in DRG's army, man. He does not seem to care much. You are very replaceable. But he's getting a lot of value because of it. Excellent positioning here as well on these lurkers, right? Just making it difficult for Protoss to reinforce this. Astrea is super focused on trying to just micro those Tempest and trying to just, yeah, control his air units around, which is nice and all, but here comes the swarm, man. Another round of lings. Now he's gonna get the wraparound on the Archon, so that is what he's been looking for over the last 5 minutes. DRG is the swarm, and it allows him to win 2-0 over Astrea.